What's up, Cantor University? I'm Duncan Kneedeep, and I'm here today to showcase the legendary Pokemon Hoopa. Just like Volcanion, it is currently impossible to legally obtain Hoopa in-game. It has to be added to your game using a cheat device. So first up, let's look at its design. I don't think it's bad, but personally I don't think it's the best looking Pokemon this generation. It does, however, look like a trickster, which does fit its classification as the Mischief Pokemon perfectly. Onto typing, its Psychic Ghost typing is arguably quite good offensively, but defensively it is terrible. Although it does only have 2 weaknesses, a 4 times weakness to both Ghost and Dark is not desired in a generation where Knockoff is on almost every team, and although less common since the Aegislash ban, fast Ghost type attack users are still seen quite often in the metagame. Hoopa's ability is Magician, and while this seems like quite a good ability at first glance, I really think Knockoff is the better ability, because with Magician not only do you have to use up or not have an item of your own, but also you could end up with an item you don't want, because who wants a choice-banded Hoopa? Just like Volcanion, if you have a Hoopa in your party, you can trigger an in-game event. Taking Hoopa to the Parfum Palace Library and talking to the Traveler there will unlock new dialogue options, allowing you to find a great deal about Hoopa's lore and backstory. It turns out that Hoopa is a thief Pokemon who has been traveling the world stealing precious objects like gold and silver from kings and dukes and all kinds of things using portals created with its rings. In one case, it even actually teleports an entire island. This lore is really interesting, and I'm going to leave the little event up on screen for a couple of seconds now, just so that you can see what happens when you do this. If you want to see the text in more detail, or when it's not scrolling, you can check that out on any number of sites, including Cerebi or something like that. With the lore covered, it's time to move on to what I think is the most important thing about a Pokemon, and that's its competitive viability. At first glance, Hoopa's base stats are really quite impressive. With 150 base special attack, it can use its relatively diverse special move pool to hit opponents hard, and its 130 special defense paired with 80 base HP can allow it to take any neutral or resisted special attack relatively well. Unfortunately, a lackluster 60 physical defense allows it to be 1 or 2 hit KO'd by a large number of neutral physical attacks, and its base 70 speed does force you to either run a Scarf, Sticky Web support, or operate it in a Trick Room. In my opinion, it's not quite as suitable as Volcanion as a Scarf user, due to less bulk and its less impressive signature move. While Steam Eruption on Volcanion allowed you to hit even Pokemon that resisted it hard, and it gave you that 30% burn chance, Hyperspace Hole is, in comparison, extremely mundane. Talking of Hoopa's signature move, Hyperspace Hole is a Psychic-type special attack with a base power of 80. While this is 10 lower than Psychic, it also allows you to ignore all layers of protection, including substitutes and even moves such as Protect and Detect. While this isn't without its uses, especially in a VGC format if Hoopa were ever legal, in singles you will often be better off just running Psychic. I have to be honest with you guys and tell you that I don't think that Hoopa will be a great choice in the OU metagame, just due to how common both the moves Knockoff and Sucker Punch are, and although it may end up in UU eventually, I don't want to make that assumption, so for this video I will be giving you some OU sets and an OU team choices. However, do keep in mind that there are other Pokemon that would probably be a better choice than Hoopa on the majority of teams. My first set is a Scarf user. Just like the Scarf Canyon set from my last video, running it modest with a base 70 speed stat will allow you to outspeed base 110 Pokemon, notable especially in outspeeding the Lati twins. You can OHKO Latios with a Shadow Ball, and you can even kill Latias in one Shadow Ball if you have Stealth Rocks up. It is an option to run it timid, and then you will outspeed base 115 Pokemon such as Starmie. You can then OHKO a Starmie, but you lose your ability to OHKO the Lati twins, and I think that Hoopa needs all the hitting power it can get, especially since it's so vulnerable to physical attacks. Shadow Ball and then either Hyperspace Hole or Psychic provide your basic stab moves. There really isn't much to say about these. With 150 base special attack, Hoopa will be hitting very hard with any of these 3 moves. The choice between Thunderbolt, Focus Blast, and Energy Ball is a tricky one. Energy Ball allows you to OHKO those tricky groundwater types like Swampert or Gastrodon. Focus Blast provides the best type coverage of the 3, giving Hoopa almost perfect coverage, and then finally Thunderbolt allows you to take out flying types like Skarmory and Mandibuzz. The choice really does come down to your team composition. In the 4th slot, I personally choose to run Psyshock. This allows me to hit special walls, which would otherwise render Hoopa pretty much useless and reduce your momentum significantly. Catching these walls off guard with a Psyshock can turn a battle in your favor very quickly. Of course, if you would prefer, you can choose to instead run a second coverage move in this 4th slot. All of this does depend on your team composition. We're going to move it on now to a slightly different set, which is the Web Support Hoopa. As you can see, it's pretty much identical to the first set, The only difference is it relies on sticky webs to lower your opponent's speed to a manageable level, instead of relying on a scarf to boost your speed to outspeed opponents. The pros of using webs over a choice scarf are obvious. Not only can you switch moves at will, but you can also get a significant power boost from the life orb you now carry. Unfortunately, the cons should be equally clear. First and foremost, you have to set up webs, and you have to maintain them throughout the battle. Now, while Hoopa can easily spin block for its own web support, it can't stop any defog users, and defog users are often immune to webs, so you probably won't even be able to hit them before they defog your webs away. Speaking of immunity to webs, flying types who would previously have been easily shut down by a Thunderbolt from a Scarf Hoopa, or the Lati twins who would easily have been shut down by a Shadow Ball from a Scarfed Hoopa, can now easily switch in and either threaten it out or kill it. Finally, Defiant Bishop is an easy switch in for web support Hoopa if it doesn't carry Focus Blast. Not only does it get a sharp attack boost from the webs dropping its speed, but it also carries Sucker Punch, which would OHKO Hoopa at -2 attack, let alone +2. My final set here is Tricky Hoopa or Trick Room Hoopa. Due to its respectable special defense, Hoopa should have an opportunity to set up a Trick Room at some point during the battle. Once the Trick Room is up, Hoopa is a force to be reckoned with for 5 turns. This set is interesting, and it does open up a few possibilities. So far, I have neglected Hoopa's Magician ability altogether. My reason for that is it really isn't that useful on this Pokemon. However, if you really want to do it, then Trick Room Hoopa is the build with which to do so. If you replace your Life Orb with a Citrus Berry, it allows you to remain significantly healthier when setting up your Trick Room. As an added bonus, you then get to steal an item on your next attack. Remember though, this could be a blessing or a curse, as you might end up stealing an item you really don't want, such as a Choice Band, which would cripple your Hoopa. In all honesty, if you want to remove your opponent's items, use a knockoff Pokemon. And I'm only suggesting a Citrus Berry set for the novelty of it. A Life Orb is much better on Trick Room Hoopa. Unfortunately, I really couldn't come up with any other viable sets for Hoopa. However, the sets I did manage to come up with do work to some degree. Although they are not terribly effective in the OU tier, as I said before, I am personally hoping for Hoopa to land in the UU tier, where its Trickster-style Pokemon could really shine. As always, I'm going to finish this up by talking about Team Synergy. A justified Pokemon would always be a good choice to pair with Hoopa, Cobalion or Terrakion being the best of those. Not only can you switch it in on a Dark-type move and get that boost, just having them on your team will make your opponent think twice before using Dark-type attacks to eliminate Hoopa. On a similar note, Normal-type Pokemon also make good partners for Hoopa. With their immunity to Ghost, they can switch in on any obvious Ghost-type attempts on Hoopa's life. Diggersby supports Sticky Web Hoopa well, with a Life Orb, Choice Band, or even a Choice Scarf if you really want him to go fast. However, in all honesty, the perfect partner for Hoopa isn't even out yet. Mega Lopunny would partner exceedingly well with Hoopa, providing resistance or immunity to both Hoopa's weaknesses and boasting the Scrappy ability, allowing it to hit any ghosts that would otherwise switch in on a fighting a normal-type Pokemon easily. Finally, it's never going to be a bad idea to use a physical wall on a team with Hoopa. I personally love using Impish Landorus Therian, so I'm actually going to suggest him again, although many walls such as Skarmory would do the job just as well. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. If you want to see Hoopa in action, I put up a video on my channel today where I used him a bit. It wasn't quite as much of a sweep with Hoopa as my previous Volcanion video, but he does see some usage in this battle, so please do go and check it out by clicking the annotation on your screen now. If you enjoyed this video, please do remember to click the like button. It takes half a second and it really does help Kanto University out, and it gives us feedback. As a question of the day, I'd love to see where you guys think Hoopa is going to end up on the tiering list by Smogon. So, if you think he's going to be OU, say so. If you think he's going to be a BL, UU, BL2, RU, NU, anything. I don't know where he's going to end up personally. I think he's going to end up in UU. That's my opinion. But I'd love to see what you guys think too. Thank you for watching once again, and I'll see you guys next time.